want to bring in the power panel now. Mark Lotter, a former special assistant to President Trump and a former press secretary to Vice President Pence. And Leslie Marshall, Fox News contributor. Great to see you both. Mark, I'm going to start with you and what you make of the power rankings. And we are 28 days out. So the language about it, oh, we still have so much time. Really, neither party has a lot of time.
No, and those last undecided voters are going to break toward the Republican conservative side because of the economic issues, as that Monmouth survey indicated. So I think those are conservative estimates by the power rankings. I think that the Republicans will end up with majorities in both the House and the Senate. I think it'll probably be a little bit larger than those projections in the House. The Senate's probably going to end up 52-48, something along those lines. And it's because Democrats are on the wrong side of all the issues that matter. Those top 5 issues you showed, Republicans are in favor on all of those issues: economy, energy, gas prices, crime, education, immigration. Democrats aren't on the winning side on any of those.
You know, Leslie, before I go to you, Democrats are going all in on abortion ahead of the midterms, hoping that that issue will fire up their base. The vice president pushing the issue last night. Let's watch. Veteran Democratic strategist James Carville says pinpointing abortion won't be enough. Here's a quote: "A lot of these consultants think if all we do is run abortion spots, that will win for us. I don't think so. But if you just sit there and they're pummeling you on crime and pummeling you on the cost of living, you've got to be more aggressive than just yelling abortion every other word." What do you say to that, Leslie?
I agree 100%. I have said throughout my entire life as a Democratic strategist and a talk show host that you can't, whether it's attacking a candidate like Donald Trump or whoever your opponent is, or any one issue, that is not going to bring it home for any party. Listen, this is not just a one-issue race on either side of the aisle. If you live in a border state, immigration is going to matter more. Abortion is going to matter more in some places. We're seeing in Colorado, it's the second most important issue. We've seen women in states such as Ohio that have just been outpacing the men, like 12% in Ohio as an example, after the Dobbs decision. It's not just about abortion. The Democrats have to talk about the things that they put forth that Republicans voted against. We've seen that time and time again with funding for disasters, or when you're talking about giving seniors a break on prescription drug prices. The list goes on. So I would agree with Senator Sanders in his op-ed. I also agree with James Carville in his opinion on you can't just run on one issue. And abortion is number 2 in many places, not number 1.
Yeah, you named a couple, but why aren't they doing some of those things now? I mean, the gas prices are going right back up. We've got more than a mess on our hands. We've got a situation with winter coming. This is going to get really uncomfortable for Americans and soul-breaking for many of them, as they don't have a cash flow that they used to have that bought as much stuff. Real quickly, Leslie, you list some things that Democrats should do, but why don't they do them now?
They didn't ask me for advice. No, I don't know. My party does this a lot. You know, we did this with Donald Trump. I'm not Trump. We saw it in the debate last night. I mean, I think it's important to talk about dignity and somebody putting you down and then shaking their hand. But what's more important is in the state of Ohio is, like you said, the economy. And I think that Tim Ryan was really great when it came to China, saying, look, J.D. Vance is pocketing and profiting from sending your jobs overseas. That's what matters to a blue-collar state and a working-class state like Ohio. That's what Democrats need to do, is look at the districts within the states and look at the states and the issues that matter most. And abortion is not number 1, and it might be number 2 in some states, but not all.
Early in-person voting begins tomorrow in Ohio, and you hear Leslie is very excited to talk about. I wanted to show you this, though, before we get to that. Polls there show a tight race for the Senate seat. It's up for grabs in a key battleground state. So what you hear Leslie saying there is all excitement because of what a debate was like last night. But what you really need to know is just how tight this race is. And that makes everybody come out fierce. Fox Power Rankings predict this race leaning in favor of Republican J.D. Vance. Mark.
You know, I get it in these debates, especially when there's only going to be one or a small number of debates, in these last days. But I think when voters tune out most of these kinds of back and forth snippets, what they're going to focus on are the policies. And when you look at what's going on in the state of Ohio today, whether it's gas prices, grocery prices, crime, Tim Ryan's on the wrong side of all of those issues. J.D. Vance, the Republicans, the commitment to America, all of those things are the right answer. And if you're still one of the last few undecided undecideds, you'll break for the challenger in this case, as opposed to a guy who's been in Washington for 20 years.
Yeah, 10 terms. I mean, my goodness, Tim Ryan couldn't make a compelling argument ever that he wouldn't know that state. So why is this so tight, do you think, Mark? Last word.
Well, I think what you see is, look, let's be honest, Ohio is not a battleground state. It is a royal ruby red state. Statewide, Tim Ryan won in a specific congressional district. That doesn't translate statewide. It's definitely Trump country. It's definitely red. That gives J.D. Vance the advantage.
Arizona, Nevada, Pennsylvania, very, very, very quick, Leslie. Just your thoughts on how to make up the difference there if your party isn't willing to listen to you, as you put it.
I think voters are smarter than both parties, quite frankly. And when we, I have to say to Mark, I would agree it is a very red state. So therefore, your candidate should be leading by double digits, and he isn't. If I were a Republican, that I would be worried about.
Right.
A lot of these races are very, very close. You mentioned these states, Harris, correctly. And look, it's a nail biter. Every day, it's a toss of the dice as to where the predictions are leaning, whether it's left or right. But since Mark put it out there, I'll predict, and I get in trouble for this. I'm sad to say I don't think we, the Democrats, are going to hold the House, but I do think we're going to take the Senate.
Okay. Well, you have the Senate, so you mean you're not going to lose it?
No,
okay.
It's 50-50. I think we're going to have the Senate without having a tiebreaker from the Vice President.
In a tie, and last I checked, she's very blue, the Vice President. Good to see you both. Mark, Leslie, thank you.